Greetings. Welcome. Welcome to the today's lecture on comparison of alternatives and break-even analysis. This is the a important part of engineering economic analysis. I am Dr. G. Shankara, Professor and HOD, RR Institute of Technology, Bengaluru. In this lecture, we will discuss about the selection of an option among various alternatives, among various available choices based on the economic considerations. Besides other technological, environmental factors, economical factors also plays an important role in deciding the various options. Particularly, many engineering projects involves thousands of crores of rupees. So, a thorough analysis and decision making among the for selecting the a suitable alternative among the various available choices is very important. So, those concepts we will study in this lecture. So, contents are comparison of alternatives, present worth method, equivalent worth method, rate of return method, minimum cost analysis, break-even analysis. Okay, let us see what is the comparison of alternatives, why it is important. In the real world, the majority of engineering economic analysis problems are alternative comparisons. In these problems, two are more mutually exclusive, means choice if one excludes the choice of any other alternative. That means if among the alternatives, if you select one alternative, all other alternatives will be excluded. Mutually exclusive investment compete for limited funds. So the resource, particularly here we are discussing about the money, funds. The funds are limited, so various alternatives will be available to finalize, to decide upon the utilization of available funds. So which alternative is most optimum, most economical, most efficient, most suitable within the available funds need to be selected. A variety of methods exist for selecting the superior alternative from a group of proposals. So further there are various methods are available. Each method has its own merits and applications. The different cost elements and other parameters to be considered while making the economic comparison of alternatives are, so what are all the various parameters in this economic analysis one need to be considered? They are initial cost, annual operating and maintenance cost, annual income or receipts, expected salvage value, income tax benefits, and the useful life, etc. So these factors plays an important role. That means basically the cost that are going to be incurred and the revenues that are going to be generated. So balance between these two and the life cycle period, etc. plays an important role in this analysis. While comparing the mutually exclusive investment alternatives showing maximum positive cash flow. That means revenue or income is generally selected, which generates more revenues compared to the cost. A positive cash flow should be there, and which again there may be 2-3 alternatives which may be generating positive cash flows. Again, among them, which gives you more positive cash flow is generally selected. For example, purchase of a dozer by a construction firm. A construction firm wants to buy a dozer. The construction firm will have investment, will have different feasible alternatives for the dozer, with each alternative having its own initial investment, annual operating and maintenance cost, annual income depending upon the production capacity, useful life, salvage values, etc. So, various companies which manufacture these dozers will give the quotations which indicates the initial cost, maintenance cost, salvage value, useful life, return that can be expected, its capacity. All these parameter specifications will be generally can be obtained from the vendors. Then all these parameters need to be compared and analyzed. Thus, the alternative which will yield more economic benefit will be selected by the construction firm. More economic benefit means more positive cash flow. There are some other projects which involve only cost or expenses throughout the useful life except the salvage value, if any, at the end of useful life. In some projects, engineering projects, there may not be revenue, only initial, always expenditure will be there. The alternatives having this type of cash flows are known as cost alternatives. So in that, generally as they gives only involve only expenditure or cost, so which is having least or minimum cost alternative is to be selected. While comparing mutually exclusive cost alternatives, the alternative showing minimum negative cash flow in this. If there is a revenue is there, then you should go for maximum positive cash flow. There is no revenue, only expenditure like construction of dams, etc. Then one should be going for minimum negative cash flow is generally selected. Example for such type of alternatives includes construction of a government funded national highway stretch between two regions. Okay, national highways may be generating nowadays some funds through the toll gates, but if you see the district roads, village roads, roads in the towns, municipalities, there may not be any income. Always every year you have to maintain initial cost and all those things. So which having minimum alternative cost only to be selected in such cases. The economic comparison of mutually exclusive alternatives can be carried out by different equivalent worth methods, namely present worth method, future worth method, annual worth method. So we will convert all these cash flows, either cost or revenue, into an equivalent amount, and then we will compare. What is that equivalent? It can be converting everything into present value, or converting everything into a future value, converting everything to a annual value for compare. We have seen what is present value, what is future value, what is annual payments in the earlier lecture. So here those principles we use in for analysis of the analysis and comparison of alternatives. In these methods, all the cash flows, cash outflows and cash inflows are converted into an equivalent present worth, future worth or annual worth, considering the time value of money at a given interest rate per interest period. So we assume some interest rate, we assume some interest period and calculate these present worth, future worth or annual worth for comparisons. Now let us see what is the present worth method. The present worth P is renamed PW of the alternative. The present worth method is quite popular in industry because all future costs and revenues are transformed to equivalent monetary units now. So everything future revenues and costs are converted into P. That means you know the relationship between P and A, P and F. So all those things we use. So all the everything, salvage value, maintenance value, revenue, income, everything which going to be incurred at each end of the period will be converted into present value for different alternatives. All future cash flows are converted or discounted to present amount at a specific rate of return. We assume some specific rate of return, which is the MARR, minimum acceptable rate of return. Somebody says is minimum attractive rate of return. So that is what if generally the company or the contractor who is doing the project will be interested, if acceptable, that much rate of return is there, only he will take up the project. So otherwise he is getting that much money in other his investment. So he has to take this project, means the minimum acceptable rate of return should be there. So that is assumed in converting all these into present worth and future worth, etc. This makes it very simple to determine which alternative has the best economic advantage. If the alternative has the same capacities for the same time period, the equal service equipment is met. That means if both the alternatives have same life cycle, okay, calculate the present worth value at the stated MARR for each alternative. So for example, we have seen in the previous Dozer, if you are going to invest in a Dozer, if you got quotation from two vendors and both vendors says the life cycle or lifespan of their Dozer is say 20 years. If both say same 20 years, then your calculations will be simple because lifespan is same for both. Then using the MARR, using the number of periods, all the future cash flows you can convert into present worth. If there is only one alternative, if PW is greater than 0, the requested MARR is met or exceeded, and the alternative is economically justified. For example, there is only one alternative is available in the market because of various other parameters. Only one company is making the Dozer equipment. So whether to buy that Dozer or not, how you will decide? When your present worth, equivalent present worth, calculating all the cash flows into present worth at the MARR, if you compare that present worth is greater than 0, then that alternative can be considered. If there are two or more alternatives, select the alternative with the PW that is numerically largest, that is less negative or more positive. You have to select which one is less negative or more less negative when you say in the cost alternatives. Otherwise, if there is revenues also, you have to select among the alternatives which is more positive. This indicates a lower PW of cost for cost alternatives or a larger PW of net cash flows for revenue alternatives. Analysis of different life alternatives means if the equipment or if the project which are having different lifespans, then how to do this present worth calculations. When the present worth method is used to compare mutually exclusive alternatives that have different lives, the equal service requirement must be met. So how we will do it? The procedure of previous section is followed with one exception. Same as so far what we have discussed, present worth calculation with MARR will be done, but one exception, one change. The present worth of the alternatives must be compared over the same number of years and must end at the same time to satisfy the equal service requirement. So equal service requirement is a condition in this analysis. So but when we are having two different alternatives having two different lifespans, then how we will do? The equal service requirement is satisfied by using either of the two approaches. LCM. Compare the present worth of alternatives over a period of time equal to the least common multiple of their estimated lives. Okay, so there are two methods to meet this equal service requirement. What is one is by finding the LCM. Let us say 1 Dozer is having 15 years, another one is having 20 years. So how do you compare? You find out the least common multiple of that one both, and then we will calculate the present worth from those two, from that LCM. So both will compare over that LCM period. That is one alternative. Or select a study period. Compare the PW of the alternatives using a specified study period of n years. Or one is 15 years, one is 20 years. You can take some 12 years or 15 years, which is there in both the alternatives. You can, that study period you can select, and you can make the comparison over that period. So using any of these two methods, you can meet the equal service requirement in this case. So this is how the present worth method is used to compare the alternatives. Next is annual worth method. Future worth method is also can be adopted, which we are not discussing here. In that method, all the cash inflows, outflows, etc. are converted into future worth using the formula of F by P or F by A. Then that minimum cost alternative or maximum cash flow alternative is selected, comparing the future worth of the various alternatives. Next is annual worth method. The AW method is commonly used for comparing alternatives. This is also a very common method. AW means that all incomes and disbursements, irregular and uniform, are converted into an equivalent uniform annual amount. If they are irregular or regular, whatever it may be, but both should be converted into an equal uniform amounts, which is the same each period. So both all the alternatives should have same period. It means it can be 1 year or 6 months, whatever end of the period you are using, it should be same in all the alternatives. Major advantage of this method is over all other method is that it does not require making the comparison over the least common multiple of years when the alternatives have different lives. In this, you need not convert it into LCM because everything is converted into equivalent annual. So if you compare that equivalent annual amount directly, whatever may be the life cycle, you can find out the best alternative. So LCM method is not required here. AW value of the alternative is calculated for one life cycle only generally. But if the project is continued for more than one cycle, the equivalent annual worth for the next cycle and all succeeding cycles will be exactly the same as for the first, provided all cash flows are the same for each cycle in constant value dollars. So same procedure you can repeat if it is more than one life cycle. This method, which may also be used to rank alternatives according to their desirability, is also called the annual return method or capital recovery method. This is called as capital recovery method. The alternatives must be mutually exclusive and repeatedly renewed up to the duration of the longest lived alternative. The calculated annual cost is known as the equivalent uniform annual cost, EUAC, or equivalent annual cost simply, EAC. Cost is positive number when expenses exceeds income. The expenses exceeds the income, cost will be positive, and when income exceeds the expenses, income will be positive. Another method is rate of return method. So in the previous methods, we have assumed MA, rate of interest, MARR, and converted them into the worth, either present worth, future worth. In this method, we will find out what will be the interest rate we are getting, the time value we are getting from this project. By spending so much money, what is the time value, interest rate if you are getting from the project, and we will compare with that with the MARR. The rate of return technique is one of the methods used in selecting an alternative for a project. In this method, the interest rate for interest period is determined, not assumed. We are calculating the interest period, interest amount, interest rate. Previously, we assumed the interest rate and calculated the worth. Now, worth we know, amounts we know which we are spending, and we will calculate the interest from that, which equates the equivalent worth to that of cash flows, incomes or revenues of an alternative. The rate of return is also known as by other names internal rate of return, profitability index, etc. So this rate of return is called IRR, internal rate of return, or profitability index, etc. So for example, in the present worth, using present worth, how we will calculate the IRR or rate of return? So the equation of rate of return can be written as follows: PWC is equal to PW1, present worth of cash outflows, and PWI, present worth of cash inflows. Both should be equal at what interest rate? When both are equal at what interest rate both are equal, we have to find out. So we will make both equal first. Present worth of the cash outflows, present worth of the cash inflows, we make it equal. PWC is equal to PWI. So it can be written as 0 is equal to minus PWC plus PWI. In the above equation, net present worth is 0. That means because both are equal, the net present worth is 0. So if you solve that equation, so this is the equation: 0 is equal to P naught plus FC P by F I comma N plus AC, because it involves present values, future values, annual values, all those things. So this is the equation you will get. The value of rate, in this we know all the P, F, N, etc. I we don't know. That I you have to find out by solving this equation. So the IR can be calculated by solving the above equation. The equation can be solved either manually through trial and error, because it is not a simple equation. You know, the formulas involving A and P, A and F are a bit complicated. So to solve that equation, you have to first assume some values, and trial and error method, you should see that it becomes, the net worth becomes 0 like that. So trial and error you can find out, or using Microsoft Excel calculations. Now spreadsheets can also be used in the computers. The first method, trial and error process, for determination of the rate of return consumes more time. After determination of the rate of return for a given alternative, it is compared with the minimum acceptable rate of return or minimum attractive rate of return, MARR, to find out the acceptability of this alternative for the project. If the rate of return IR is greater than or equal to MARR, then the alternative will be selected, or else it will not be selected. That means if the project which you are going to invest is not giving the MARR for you, for example, your MARR, you have a 100 crores with you, you want to go with a construction of some mall. So if you construct that mall, and sell the mall, you will get some revenue. So both you will convert it into present worth and calculate the interest rate. So if you are not doing any of these things, if you keep that 100 crores in a government bonds, gilt funds, you will get, let us say, some 8% interest. So from this project, if you get an interest rate more than that 8%, then only you will take up the project. If you are getting only 5%, 6% interest from this project, why you should do all these efforts? By simply taking the money in government bonds, if you investing, you will get more interest rate. So always comparison will be done with that minimum acceptable rate of return, and if the project generates the rate of return more than the MARR, then only the alternative will be selected. In other words, MARR is the minimum rate of return below which the investment alternatives are economically not acceptable. The difference between equivalent worth methods, present worth method, future worth method, and rate of return method is that in case of farmer, the equivalent worth of cash flows and cash outflows are determined at MARR, whereas in case of later, a rate is determined which equates the equivalent worth of cash inflows to that of cash outflows, and the resulting rate is compared against MARR. The rate of return and MARR are expressed in terms of percentage per period, mostly percentage per year, that is 10%, 8% per annum, like that. So this is the rate of return method. So these are all the various methods of comparing the various alternatives and finally selecting or adopting an alternative. One more method is break-even analysis. What is this break-even analysis? The break-even analysis is used to calculate the value of a factor or a variable at which the expenditure and revenues of a project or alternative are equal. This value of the variable is known as the break-even point. So it is the value of a variable at which the expenditures and revenues of a project are equal. So your expenditure and income of the project will be equal at a certain value of a variable. That value of the variable is known as the break-even point. For example, corresponding to the break-even point, profit or loss can be determined if the expected value of the variable is higher or lower than the break-even value. For example, you are manufacturing cars. Okay, so you will invest money in the land for the factory, buildings, buying the machinery, employing the workers, paying their salary, all these things, then procuring the material, manufacturing the cars, like that. So this is the expenditure. Then if you sell that cars, you will get the revenue. But so for example, if you have invested some 100 crores, then how many cars minimum you should sell to get that 100 crores? Let us say then your car is, let us say, 50 lakhs. Then at least minimum 200 cars you should sell. That is the break-even point. If you sell more than that 200 cars, you will be in the profit. If you sell less than that 200 cars, you will be lost. So 200 cars is the break-even point in that, in terms of the number of produced units, or you want to compare in terms of the money itself. So from your sales, if you get 100 crores, you will be safe, no loss, no profit. If you get less than 100 crores, you will be in loss. If you get more than 100 crores, you will be in profit. This is in terms of the money. Like that, the variable can be number of produced units, it can be money, or it can be some other parameter. In this regard, the break-even point governs the economic acceptability of the project or the alternative. The example of some of the factors which are used in the break-even analysis are quantities produced per annum, that's what, number of cars produced per annum, hours of operation per year. So the factory should work so many hours per annum, then only you will get into profit. So hours of production also can be a variable. Rate of return per annum, that can also be a variable. It should be above the MARR, and useful life, etc. These are all the various. For example, you are investing in a metro project. If useful life of the metro train project is only 10 years, it may not be worth spending. If it is minimum some 30 years, 40 years, then only we will invest. Like that, it can be the lifespan also a variable. The break-even point between expenditure and revenue for a single alternative is shown. Okay, this break-even point analysis can be used for selecting a single alternative, whether we go with this alternative or not, or comparison between two or more alternatives also break-even point can be used. Okay, in case of single alternative, how it is used? See, it is shown in the sketch. X is on the x-axis, that is a quantity. X is the factor that mainly affects the expenditure and revenue of the alternative. It is the variable X. Y-axis is the equivalent worth. It can be present worth, future worth, we have seen annual worth, those things. The equivalent worth of expenditure and revenue are plotted as functions of the quantity of factor X. The break-even point corresponds to that value of factor X at which the equivalent worth of expenditure and revenue of the alternatives are equal. See, blue line is the expenditure, green line is the revenue. So at a certain quantity of X, at a certain value of X, both are equal, expenditure and revenue. So if your value of X is less than this break-even point, your expenditure is more. If your value of X is more than this break-even point, revenue is more. So where these both will meet, you have to see. So that is the break-even point for your quantity. The break-even point corresponds to that value of the factor at which the equivalent worth of expenditure and revenue of the alternatives are equal. That is, the relationships representing the expenditure and revenue as functions of X intersect each other. So this is how you can select whether to go with a, in case of a single alternative, whether we shall proceed with that alternative or not. Yes or no. So if your quantity is more than this break-even point, you shall proceed. If the quantity is less than the break-even point, you shall not proceed. Your variable. Then between two alternatives also it can be used. That is shown in this figure. In this figure, the total equivalent worth of net cash flow, expenditure and revenues of the alternatives are plotted at various values of the common factor. So here the equivalent worth of one or two or more alternatives is plotted with quantity on the quantity of X on the x-axis and total equivalent worth on the y-axis, same as in the previous. But here instead of single alternative, we are plotting two alternatives. If the expected value of X is less than the break-even value is the where both intersect. Rose color line is alternative 1, blue color line is alternative 2. So where both meeting is the break-even point shown with the arrow. Now, if the value of X is less than the break-even point, then what you see from the figure, alternative 1 cost is less, its total worth is less. So in that case, you can select the alternative 1. If the expected value of X is less than the break-even value, alternative 1 is selected as its total equivalent worth, assuming it is negative cash flow, cost greater than revenue. Let us say we are considering this total equivalent worth of cost. So below the break-even point, cost is less for alternative 1, total net expenditure. So we will select the above the break-even point, alternative 2 is having lower cost. So if the your production or your variable cost is above the break-even point, you can select the alternative 2. So between various alternatives also you can use this one. Alternative 2 is Similarly, when the expected value of x is greater than the break-even value, alternative 2 is selected as it shows lower equivalent worth compared to alternative 1. In these two figures, the variations or relationships are considered as linear function. We are showing the graphs as linear functions of the value of factor x. Sometimes the relationship may also be non-linear also. So, okay. Now, what are all the actually, is it break-even point is absolute or are there any assumptions in this? So, assumptions are made in this case. What are all the assumptions? All cost can be separated into fixed and variable cost. That is what shown in the graph. Fixed cost, again, fixed cost will remain constant at all volumes of output. Like that's what, as I told you, procurement of the purchase of site, purchase of land, construction of buildings, procurement of equipment, other utilities, facilities, all those things to be provided comes under fixed cost. So it is assumed that it is constant over all the production. So in the graph you see fixed cost is a running in a horizontal straight parallel line. So that means it is a constant. X-axis is output here, y-axis is the sales and cost. So fixed cost is considered as constant. Variable cost will fluctuate in direct proportion to volume of output. So number of cars you produce more, variable cost will be increasing because material used will be varies, labor used will be more, power consumption will be more, all those things. So variable cost shows here in a linearly increasing line. That is where, so bottom is fixed cost straight line, above that the slope line is the variable expense. So total cost line is fixed expenses plus variable expenses. Then sales and profit line is shown also. So where the sales and profit line and total cost line will meet both, that is the break even point. So if you produce the quantity less than this break even point, your profit or sales is less than the expenditure. If you produce more than the break even point, your profit or sales line is higher than the total cost line. Okay, what is the other assumptions? Selling price will remain constant. Products mix will remain unchanged. So these are all the some assumptions made for a simplifying this break-even analysis. The number of units of sales will coincide with the units produced so that there is no opening or closing stock. That means whatever we are producing, we are assuming that we are selling everything. There is no opening stock or no closing stock for our calculation of this break-even point, thinking that all they will be sold out. Productivity per worker will remain unchanged. That is another assumption which is not actually, most of these assumptions are practically not possible. Product mix will remain unchanged. No, it will be keep changing because of the changes in the customer behavior, his likings, his interest, etc. Similarly, based on the technology, based on the material, product mix will be changing. Number of units may not be sold, all the units that produced may not be sold because of various defects or because of change in the fashion, change in the all those things, economic conditions. There will be no change in the general price level. Price also will keep on changes. It may go up, it may go down. So some of the options are not practically viable, but even then for a simplification of the analysis, we make all these assumptions. So how do you calculate break-even point? There are some formulas. If you are calculating break-even points in the units, so it is equal to fixed cost divided by sales price per unit minus variable cost per unit. So you have to deduct the variable cost per unit from the sales price per unit and fixed cost is divided with this value, then you will get the break-even points in units. Similarly, in rupees, how you will calculate fixed cost divided by contribution margin. Contribution margin is the difference between the price of a product and what it costs to make that product. So fixed cost divided by contribution margin will give you the break-even point in terms of the money. The calculation is as follows. Sales price per unit minus variable cost per unit by sales price per unit. That is how you calculate the contribution margin. So like that, based on the various variable, there are various formulas available to calculate the break-even point. Okay, so where you use actually this break-even point in engineering economics? Let us see some applications. It helps in determination of selling price, which will give the desired profit. So what price you should sell your product? So this break-even point will help you in deciding your selling price. It helps in the fixation of sales volume to cover a given return on capital employed. Similarly, how much quantity of sales should be there also can be determined using this break-even analysis. It helps in forecasting costs and profit as a result of change in volume. So if the volume is changed, how the cost and the profits varies can also be determined using this analysis. It gives suggestions for shift in sales mix. It helps in making inter-firm comparison of profitability. Means different between different firms producing same products, the profitability can be compared based on this break-even analysis. It helps in determination of costs and revenue at various levels of output. That means if you produce 500 cars, what will be the profit? If you produce 1000 cars, what will be the cost and revenues? Like that, at various levels of output, cost and revenues can be estimated using this break-even analysis. It is an aid in management decision making. Make or buy, introducing a product. That means, for example, as a dozer, I told you whether you want to buy a dozer or you can want to lease it. Similarly, like that, introducing a new product, whether we shall go ahead with the new product, then so for management to decide all these things, this break-even analysis is a useful tool. Similarly, forecasting, long-term planning and maintaining profitability. In all these aspects, this break-even point helps the management in taking decisions. It reveals business strength and profit earning capacity of a concern without much difficulty and effort. So in terms of the picture, graph, visualization, one can easily understand whether the business strength and profit earning capacity are good or going or deteriorated, going down or deteriorated, etc., can be understood by making this break-even point analysis. Okay, so in this lecture of the engineering economics, we have seen basically focused on comparing the various alternatives and finalizing and selecting one alternative based on various methods like present worth method, future worth, annual worth method, rate of return method, break-even point analysis, etc. All these things we have studied in this lecture. Thank you.